Story 1. Am I the a-hole? My dad got a tattoo in the style of our matching tattoo with his new family. My father, 41 male, and my mother, 40 female, divorced 3 years ago. I live with my mother. My father remarried a year ago. His wife has 2 children, 18 female, 15 male. Me, 18 female, and my dad got a matching tattoo 2 years ago. It was a simple outline tattoo of a photo of us. After my dad got married, things started to get a bit more distant between us because he started to spend more time with his new family. Besides that, I think he doesn't want to see me around them. I don't know why. After all, I've never treated his wife or stepchildren badly. Yesterday, he refused to meet me on a weekend when we were supposed to spend time together, saying he was unavailable, and he reposted a story of him hanging out with his new family. While looking at the photo, I saw that he got a new tattoo on his arm. It was an outline tattoo of a photo of him with his new family, just like the tattoo he got with me. Now I know that millions of people have these tattoos, and it's not my original design. I'm still disappointed that he got a tattoo with his new family in the same style as ours, because I always thought that that tattoo was special between us. Now I'm thinking of getting it covered or removed. I called my dad in the evening and asked him why he was hanging out with his family instead of meeting me. He said they planned it earlier, which doesn't make sense because it was agreed in court after the divorce that I could spend time with my dad every weekend, so we planned it earlier is a pretty hogwash excuse. He also knows that I'm totally okay with spending time with his family. When I told him that, he said, "It's not that simple." I guess I'm too dumb to understand complicated things because he doesn't even try to explain them. Then I asked him why he got his new tattoo in the same style as ours. He said he didn't think it would be a problem for me. I told him, "You broke something special between us. How can you not realize that?" I think I'm going to get my tattoo covered. You can do the same. In result, he thinks I'm overreacting and I shouldn't be so selfish. My mom says that what my dad did wasn't such a bad thing. She thinks we should sit down and talk. I'm not sure. Am I the a-hole? You're talking about a memento here. This one just happens to be permanent. Maybe have a talk with the dad beforehand. Let him know how much this meant to you. Have a discussion. If they still think this was not a big situation, then I would say go ahead and have it covered. You can say to him he can have it covered, but he probably still feels that connection since he's your father, and he probably sees that tattoo along with that of his family and still has that connection. I think it's just you that feels different, and if you need to move on, you need to move on. Story 2. I've upgraded to first class. Background. Airline captain, commuting to work, purchased a full-fare first-class ticket to get there. Lived in Atlanta at the time, domiciled in Houston and commuted. Normally, you could get a jump seat in the cockpit, but on this auspicious day, that was already taken. Pass riding wasn't an option because there were no seats in the coach and only one in first. Pass riders can be bumped for fare-paying passengers. And I needed to get to work, so I plunked down my credit card and bought the last seat in first. Boarding has occurred, and I am peacefully in my seat waiting for pushback. Cast of characters. Me, entitled woman. Flight attendant. Captain of the flight I'm on. Entitled woman. You're sitting in my seat. You'll need to move right now. Me, checks boarding pass. Nope, this is my seat. Not going to happen. Sorry. Entitled woman. You're an employee. You're sitting in my seat. Move now. Me. May I see your boarding pass? Clearly there's been some mistake. Entitled woman. You may not see my boarding pass. I showed that when I boarded. I've upgraded to first class. Now move. Me. You'll need to resolve this with the flight crew. I'm a passenger. Entitled woman stomps off. resembling an irritated Dolores Umbridge, and returns with flight attendant. Flight attendant. Good morning, Captain. May I see your boarding pass? Me. Sure thing. Shows boarding pass. Flight attendant. Ma'am, that's his seat. He paid for it. Entitled woman. Well then throw him off, dear. I've upgraded to first class and that is now my seat. Flight attendant. I'll need to see your boarding pass, ma'am. Entitled woman. You will not. I showed it when I boarded. I've upgraded to first class. Flight attendant. How did you upgrade to first class? Entitled woman. I've upgraded to first class. I'm more important than an employee. Now get him out of my seat. Someone has called the cockpit, and the captain has left the flight deck to deal with this. Captain. Ma'am, I'm Captain Wallaby, not his real name. I've just spoken with the gate agent. We certainly apologize for the awkward situation. The agent has corrected your paperwork and has a voucher for future travel for you as well. Please go fetch your new boarding pass and your voucher, and we'll be on our way. Entitled woman departs up the jetway, a triumphant smile on her face. The captain turns to the flight attendant and says, Prepare the doors for departure. The doors close. The captain returns to the cockpit, and as we push back from the gate, I can see the entitled woman pounding on the glass next to the jetway. It was a nice ride to Houston. The coffee was wonderful. This woman really thought she could just pull a snow job and get this seat. I don't have to show you this. She was hiding something completely, and we all know it. Everyone knew it on this trip. The flight attendant, the pilot that was flying the plane, everyone knew. And that was a sneaky way to get her off of the plane. Story 3. We need that house more than you because we have kids. A quick vent. 5 years ago, my husband and I bought a house. We'd been saving for years for the down payment, and the stars must have aligned for us to get it. Everything worked out perfectly. The house was a major fixer-upper, but it had land, and we were happy with that. Turns out my brother-in-law had looked at the house when it was listed as well. They decided it was too much work to fix up and not worth it. They wanted major upgrades too, whereas my husband and I are very simple people. We don't need granite countertops or a soaking tub or hardwood throughout. Met up with a family recently, and the brother-in-law was talking about how cramped their condo has become with 2 kids now. My brother-in-law decided this was the time to tell us that we should trade houses. I kid you not. Brother-in-law is very, very entitled. The brother-in-law proceeded to argue that we are only 2 people, and their family is growing and could use the space. Literally suggested that we give ours to him and buy out his condo. I laughed. I knew he was serious, but I couldn't help but laugh. I'd never in my life imagined someone could be so damn entitled that they demand someone give up their home for the sake of another family. Are you kidding me? The brother-in-law then got mad at me for not even considering it and began justifying all the reasons his family needed our house more. Oh, you think this would be the worst part, right? No, it gets better. We never finished the basement, so there's only 1 bathroom in the house. My brother-in-law informed me that if we were to trade houses, we would need to make some major upgrades first, because he wouldn't have time to be able to make any renovations. He was somehow inexplicably certain that I would see the logic in this plan and just trade houses with him, because they needed the extra space so much more. And now my brother-in-law isn't talking to me because I laughed through the whole thing and wouldn't take him seriously. Win-win. Go ahead, punish me by not talking to me. At least then you'll stop trying to make me the bad guy because I have 2 spare rooms I don't use. My husband and I each have an office. And tell everyone how horrible I am because I wouldn't buy out your condo at market value while giving you ours out of the goodness of our hearts. Last I know, he was now trying to tell my father-in-law to retire and move into the city so that they could have the farm. Joke's on him. Father-in-law already talked about it and has left the farm to me and my husband in his will. Because we actually farm, and my brother-in-law thinks it's too much work. I always thought the internet exaggerated that people like this exist. I thought situations like this couldn't possibly be real. What the hell are these people thinking? This guy is entitled. For some reason, he thinks his persuasion skill is much higher than it actually is. Somehow, if he isn't able to persuade someone to give up the house that he passed up on because he thought it was too much work, he's trying to get them to give them the house and then give him money for the condo and renovations on top of that. And no one is buying his line in the family. No one at all. I just don't get it. Really. No.
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 4. Today I fracked up by pranking my wife. My wife has a history of startling or scaring me easily due to my being deaf in one ear from tinnitus, which has dramatically decreased my situational awareness. She finds it hilarious, and I've grown to tolerate it because of love and all. I decided my time for revenge has come. Cut to dinner time. About to boil a box of rigatoni pasta when the inspiration hits me from a video on social media I saw. I hid a piece of that rigatoni between my teeth and make my way into the living room where my wife was relaxing on the couch after a long day of being a nurse. "Hey, sweetheart, do you mind rubbing my neck? I feel like I have a kink in it or something," I ask her. At this point, I can barely contain my excitement for this amazing prank as she happily begins massaging my neck for me. After 30 to 45 seconds, I then bite down hard on that piece of uncooked rigatoni, which released a sickening yet satisfying crunch sound. I give a little ow sound and immediately go limp, falling face first into the couch. Now, my wife is mostly a calm, non-emotional type person, but her visceral reaction of terror and worry and panic that came flooding out of her while she started to shake my limp body and began to check my vitals made me feel guilt I've never felt before. After only a short time, I gave up on the ruse and showed her it was just pasta. To say she was livid is an understatement. Been sleeping on the couch ever since. Worth it? Yeah, I mean, if she keeps startling you and doesn't expect any kind of repercussion, she's kind of a bad sport about this. You were playing a prank on her. Maybe you should sit down and say, "Hey, this is how it feels when you play a prank on me, and I don't really appreciate it that much. And this is what happens. This is how it feels for me." Get some communication going. See what she says. Story 5. Entitled fellow took a handicap spot and was so proud of himself. I was going to park in a handicap spot. I have a placard due to mobility issues, and before I could pull in, another car took that spot. No big deal since I was feeling okay today, so I parked a few spots down, got my walker out, and was walking by the offending car. As I'm walking by, someone shouts, "I took your spot, old man," and laughs. I'm 52. His friends in the car laughed too. I looked up, and it's my rich, entitled nephew. He didn't recognize me, and he has a small Toyota car which didn't stick out to me at all. The look on his face once he realized it was me was priceless. We have a family get-together next week, so this could be fun. Wait, the nephew was rich? And the uncle isn't? I wonder what's going to be entailed in that meeting. I'm sure he's going to have a big story to tell all the extended family here. I mean, wasn't a big thing, But the nephew should have really not been such an entitled jerk to anyone at all.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.